All right, welcome to the goods. We have another brown guest, one of the few brown guests we've ever had.
We're rare ones.
Welcome, Zaf.
Mm-hmm.
Aqil.
Hello.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah. It's so hard to explain. It's not say hard to explain, but like naming convention-wise in Malaysia, like Zaba is my dad's first name, and Zafran Aqil is technically my name. But then, having to do the legal forms here, just switched up to Zafran Zaba. So I'm having this problem where half my YouTube videos are in one name and half my YouTube videos are on another name. It doesn't work with the algorithm very well.
States got my SEO fucked up.
For real.
Now you live in MIA.
I know I live in MIA.
How often do you see Rick Ross around town?
Honestly, I've been hoping to run into him, but I haven't because, I don't go out that much.
I love him.
You're good. I'm just making sure we're rolling. We're good.
Yeah.
Does he still own like all the Wingstops?
He owns a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them, not all. If anything, what was I thinking about?
Like
It's
a
all the
majority.
novelties, like seeing a Miami grill. Never been to one.
What the fuck
but
is Miami Grill?
It's a chain. It's like a fast food chain. Very
do they
retro
sell?
1950s style. But this is a hilarious fun fact. Out in Malaysia, there's one Miami grill, and back when it opened, I remember this so vividly. It was a fucking Mr. 305, what's his name? Pitbull. It was a Pitbull concert in Malaysia, and people out there love him. During the same time, he also opened the first Miami grill in Asia.
Is it his restaurant or his franchise?
I don't know. I think he just opened a franchise there, which made it all the funnier because like his picture, it's like when you go to like those burgers.
Did you catch that?
We all did. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's just funny because I'm looking at her butt and I'm like, what? I'm listening.
Noise.
Pitbull, yeah.
I think Dolly. Anyways, where is that? Oh yeah, he opened it. It was a whole big thing, but honestly, it wasn't even that good. It's shut down now because it's pretty trash. But just seeing the images of like Pitbull in the poster, and all that stuff. But it convinced me that he owned the franchise.
Yeah.
And then when
he
I
probably does. He might.
No, he doesn't.
No,
he just
doesn't.
owns a share,
Oh.
like a bunch of shares or whatever. But then, when I moved to Florida, realizing that why are the Miami girls here not having pictures of Pitbull everywhere? I don't get it.
Have you ever been to one of Guy Fieri's restaurants?
Yes.
The decor is very similar, which is mad pictures of Guy Fieri.
It's awesome. I mean, he's my personal American hero. I'm just saying.
You said I was your favorite white person.
I discovered Guy Fieri first.
Right.
He got me onto the bowling shirts and frosted tips. Like, this guy went on a food American tour, not even world tour. He's just so locked into America that he knows, bro.
300 different kinds of chicken tenders, okay?
Yep.
And now he's lost all the weight.
Have you been to his chicken tender restaurant?
I didn't know yet. I was totally just
Yeah, he actually has a chicken tender restaurant in Miami.
What?
Guy's Chicken something.
Miami
but
sounds kind of lit, man.
Bro,
Have you ever been?
No, I've never been
I'm
to
telling
Miami.
you gotta come visit.
It's kind of
different
ironic.
now.
Jake and I
Miami.
have been to Florida like
Yeah.
8,
For
9
Orlando?
times.
Yeah,
I haven't been
worlds.
outside Orlando.
Right,
bro.
yeah.
It's-
I've never even been
Dude,
outside
I'm not
International
kidding.
Drive.
Like,
Nope.
being there, just the context of like the rapid expansion of South Florida in the past 3 years. Like, shout out brown part of Florida. we're in the brown part of Florida, on the South Florida part. It's like Orlando went up. That's the Florida, and then you go down. It's the
Florida.
Florida. Anyways,
Cubans.
Cuban. Every Hispanic person you think of, just not Mexicans,
Do you
because
like
they're on the
Cuban
other
sandwiches?
side. No, it's
I
boring.
fucking love those.
Yeah,
they're good.
Hot take: Cuban food is not good because it's
Whoa,
very
whoa.
tasteless.
Holy shit.
What do you mean?
Brown
whoa?
on brown hate is crazy. Dog.
That's all. Like, we all hate each other. That's a fact. But that's why we love each other too. Because
It's really funny when I describe to people that Asians are the most racist.
I'd say, honestly, I think Indians are, if anything.
Probably, yeah.
But they count as Asians.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they're on that shit.
But people that haven't been to a lot of countries don't believe that or don't have a lot
No.
of friends that are of different Asian ethnicities. Like,
Yeah, this is a fun fact because it's like, let's say in context, right? If you're white in America and you're racist to your white friend, it's kind of weird. But out in Asia, that's how we do, bro. Like you hate on your own people
just
sometimes.
openly hate, bro.
I don't have to assume that someone's gonna say some stupid shit to me. That I'm worried that someone's gonna say some stupid shit to me because I know they're probably gonna say some stupid
Yeah.
shit to me. But do I still need takeout? Do I still need directions? I do. So live with it.
it makes sense when I point out, I'm like, don't you ever wonder like why Shinji hangs out with all those Filipino dudes? Because like
It's just lit,
it's
bro.
like very punk rock to do.
It's
that.
very
They're
punk
like,
rock. It's
okay,
like,
cool. Like,
that's a good way to put it. I think
Yeah.
like I never like drew parallels of the word like grassroots to like the
Yeah.
Asian subculture context, but it really is like that.
It is, yeah.
It's still origin in its own in its whole like punk philosophy,
And
where
especially the symbolism of him being like him. Like no one's gonna really look at him sideways for doing anything he does.
what Shinji?
Yeah,
yeah, and
so
also
he kind of
it's-
has like a license to do whatever.
and it's also mad funny because when he's in Philippines, it's almost like an equalizer where nobody's really like, oh my gosh, Shinji, kind of
Right,
thing.
yeah.
Everyone's
He's
just
the
like a
homie,
homie to
yeah.
him. So, and I think like when you're, imagine being Takeshi or Shinji and you're just like that good and up there, like, I don't know, everyone kind of goes through. You probably went through. It's a
Yeah.
lonely world, you know.
The first time I went to Japan, we went to 44 Clash, like, I had been talking to Shinji beforehand. He was like, "Oh, you're my favorite 5A player." I was like, "Wow, what a fucking compliment!"
I know,
hey."
right?
And then I was like, "Man, like we gotta chill when we're in Japan." He's like, "All right, but like when you come, like I don't hang out with everyone. Like I'll be away, like doing things." And I'm like, "All right, bet, like whatever."
Nice.
And he was like, straight up, "Did you go to 44 Clash in 2010?"
No, I didn't.
Okay. It was in like a smaller club. And there was like a green room where like all the really like fly cool yo-yoers were hanging out.
That was the 44 Clash where they filmed the Shinji with the Hornets, right?
No, I think that was later. It may have been that. No, I'm pretty sure he was still in Yo-Yo Factory at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, and I like walked in. He's like, "Oh, Tyler!" Like gave me a big hug, and I was like, "Damn!" Like I really felt like I made it at that point. I was like, "Damn,
dude,
Shinji!"
you know, it's
literally
like-
in Japan
exactly,
on Yo-Yo
dude.
Factory's time, and I'm like, "Shinji."
Like
gave
hot
me
take, dude
praise.
has
This
been
is
cool
awesome.
since day one. Him
Yeah.
and Takeshi just have that like they've been on the seas that we're on since day one and like hasn't like shaken since.
Yeah.
The first dude I saw rock like mega jorts with like Air Jordan 4's oversized t-shirt, just
Dude, Shinji was like really
Ahead of
the
his game.
style-wise. Yeah, there's like
he just knew.
Have you ever seen that AP 2A demo he did where it's like to that Jungle Beat song?
That
He's
was-
wearing like jorts and like a Supreme hat or something, just going the fucking town. It's like
literally
could win any world.
like that was just to me that was his
20
like
years.
orchestra type, what's it called, like not greatest hits, but that was just like hallmark moment for me because
Yeah.
I was watching that live and dude, it was like I didn't
Oh,
think that
you were there.
Yeah, I was there. I didn't think that anyone could out 2A that, but then again,
Dude,
you
I
know,
still don't think anyone could. Like,
just
it's
thinking about the 2A dynamics,
She was good, but like, and he's incredible. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say anything negative about him, but it's just like Shinji is
on
otherworldly.
otherworldly.
I think Shinji could still come back, and if he just put in the time, could fucking
easily.
murder anyone.
But
yeah.
also, he's been doing the like. Why I say that particular contest is hella dope is because, like, he basically dished out all the tricks that he's been doing like in perfect form in like 5 times speeds, like tricks from like 1999.
Yeah.
And these are like essentially, I don't know, foundational. You just can't do it that fast, that smooth, and just like that visually appealing.
Yeah. Have you ever seen his Worlds 2005 freestyle? That's like I feel like
he's
the
just
Shinji.
too cool. Like I put certain
modus
yo-yoers
operandi.
on that. Like when you get a dap from certain yo-yoers, you know, it just means a lot.
yeah.
Like
It'll make your yo-yo career. Like
exactly. Takeshi, like Shinji, genre.
that's the type of shit that like carries me to this day, where it's like I don't care about like it's appreciated. Anyone's like, "Oh, you're dope, cool," but like the little things like that, where it's like Shinji or Mickey saying the same thing, you're like, "Oh, you're my favorite
Dude,
5
I felt that way when you said that
feels
about
great.
me in the like when I first met you in Japan. Like I was on like your cat energy. I was like, damn, because I mean, on that what's it called? On the positive spectrum, it's like what's it called? Acknowledgement goes a long way, right?
Yeah,
and
it
it's
really
just like,
does.
especially when you look up to people who you think are really, really good, and they kind of just even give you the slightest of recognition, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, that fuels it for a little bit more, you know?
Especially because, like, in yo-yo, when you're aware of, like, even if you win a contest, it doesn't really mean that you're the best.
Yeah.
Like, it feels good. It's, like, nice to get a W, but it's also, like, it doesn't really fucking matter at the end of the day. Especially when you have... Sorry to cut you off.
Oh,
but,
no,
like,
go on.
You have, like, homies or, like, big homies, so to speak, like, people to kind of, like, put you in your place or be like, you
Yeah.
could be better. Or, like, John Rob, Jake and I were talking about the other day how good John Rob was at that back in the day, just being like, bro,
Yeah.
you're 13 years old, stop wearing basketball shorts type thing. Or like you show him a new trick, he's like, huh, it's okay.
yeah.
Like, it could be
And-
better, it could be a lot better.
And you know
but-
what? Essentially, that was like until today. That is the yo-yo philosophy in Asia in general.
Yeah, that's
where
why everyone's so fucking
it's not,
good.
Crude is not the good way to put it, but it's hella blunt, right? It's hella objective because nobody's gonna sugarcoat. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's interesting, it's interesting. But when you've been to any yo-yo contest like worlds where there's like hella Japanese people, when you get the triple
Right.
you know you hit that shit, bro.
Yeah.
It's like that when you're on stage and feel that, it's like you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Dude, it's a great feeling.
And where's I thinking at? And I think that's why my hot take is that the Asia scene is kind of like surpassing the Western scene right now because of that
Yeah.
mentality. In a way, Czech is the close second because they're also critical. Like nobody's just gonna give you a free pass and be like, "Oh, that's good." It's like you wasted 3 seconds of my time. Like if it
Bro.
sucks, I'm gonna tell you it
That's
sucks.
kind of lit that they're like that.
Yeah.
Because Jake and I talk about that a lot on the pod, how like Japan used to be like, it'd be like Hidemasa Senba and like Koda and like maybe Wataru or someone all had like, they were like the shit there. Like they were the American version of like Japanese
right,
players.
right.
But now it's like vice versa, where like everyone in America is just like kind of mediocre or like doing the best meta versions. And then everyone in Japan, Korea is like fucking
So out
sick.
there.
Like,
Yeah,
everyone.
Dude, I was listening on my way down here to Yo-Yo Radio from 2005, and it's when Yo-Yo Jam did the Great Race thing,
Yeah.
and they stopped at Mitchell's. So Joe interviewed Mickey, who had just won his first Worlds,
Yeah.
was about to win his second,
Damn.
and he's like, "What do you think about American players?" And he's like, "American players have better tricks. They're better. I'm just trying to beat them in competition, but I want to learn more Americans' tricks, like Yuki Spencer and." Yeah, he mentions Yuki Spencer. He also mentions Black, who's Japanese. But he's like, those are my two main competition guys.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to hear Mickey say, like, admit in 2005 that, like, yeah, Yuki's shit is better, but I'm still going to win.
He's always very aware of that shit, you
Yeah.
know? He did, like, later, like, 2007, 2008, I think he kind of, like, felt some type of way about, like, because it's, like, very much like Drake, where it's, like, you can be the
Yeah.
best in that mainstream capitalist realm, but when it comes to, like, us giving you big ups, you got to really earn that shit.
This was
For
probably the
real?
most
Yeah.
humble Mickey ever, because he had only won one. You know?
Yeah.
This is like, he would go on to win 2 more fucking times, and then however many more.
Yeah,
And think about that mentality in general, right? Like just taking that concept of him knowing that Yuki's tricks are better.
Yeah.
Right? So like optimize is not the good way to put it, but I give him a lot of respect for like, really sticking true to his lane and knowing that this is what I got and I'm gonna do it in a way that can
Right.
surpass something like that instead of because we all get lost in the sauce being like, oh, I know that guy's better than me in tricks wise, but there's so many different lanes to go with, and I
Yeah.
think often people forget that.
Yeah, I mean, being the best is, cool and everything, but this shit is art and it's subjective. and it's
Exactly.
like,
The competitive edge you were talking about is very interesting to me because like that was what fueled, let's say, my generation of yo-yoing, like that weird in between of 2008 2009 because that was when Yo-Yo Factory was on that hot up and like it was that same mentality, right? Like what I learned from, let's say, players like Iskandar Shah, like 5A, Daryl and Christopher Chia, like they adopted that mentality that the Team Yo-Yo Factory had where it's like don't show up to the contest like hella early, you come up right before your slot, don't just simply give free daps kind of thing because one,
It's a look,
it's
yeah.
a look, you're like they really care at that particular point. I feel like the optics actually mattered, like you want to be feared in a way, not
It's
feared
funny,
but
yeah.
like seen
in a
seriously.
certain light, yeah. Because at the time, like, I don't know, we kind of did that shit, like, not on purpose, but it was just like, it was overwhelming at a certain point to be at the contest. Like, that was one thing Yo-Yo Factory and Ben did a really good job of back in the day, is making us all into, like, cultural celebrities, epitaphs that are, like,
Like until this is random. I don't know what year was it. I think it's 2012. Like this severe video that you did with John Ando.
That was 2010.
And like, I watched that. That was that's one of the videos that I've watched a million times
Thanks,
over for
man.
some reason. It's like it's just authentic and fucking cool. And like both of you guys have one of the most amazing 1A styles. Like
That was like something that was lacking in videos at the time. Like everyone was trying to be super serious.
That's
or
what I
make
mean,
Yo-Yo look
yes.
crazy and serious. And then that was the first one where it's like, I'm doing great tricks, but it's like me kind of like dicking around and having fun. And then like Ando's doing really amazing tricks. And then Jason Lee is just like literally yo-yoing in front of a fucking vending machine and shitting all over us.
but
It's like, God damn.
But that
bro.
really like showcased the like. That's really what's missing from the community right now. Like recently when I went back to Malaysia, there was the Stronger event, right? And just comparing the two scenes, like that experience you were talking about, that Team Yo-Yo Factory vibe, that's the current energy that's going on in Southeast Asia and Asia in general right now. Where like, yeah, Jonathan and Polo are homies, for instance, but when it's comp time, they're homies, but they're ready to get each other's necks,
at it, yeah.
like, but they're not stepping on each other's lanes, which is something that I find very interesting. Is just like, you got your sauce, I got my sauce. Like, in the end, Southeast Asia goes up, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
I really
it's good
fuck
for
with that
everyone,
mentality.
Jake posted a really good clip from Yo-Yo Radio the other day, John Rob, talking about it. He's verbatim says almost exactly what you said about Jake. He's like, Jake, you know, that's my homie. Like, we're team
on the same
Antio,
team,
we're on the
but
same team,
he's
but
my enemy.
fuck him too.
Exactly. You got to know how to say that. Like,
Yeah, and it's not like
it's healthy rivalry.
Right, yeah. Everyone is aware that like we're just fucking playing with toys and shit, you know? Like
Right.
when I first started Recess, I used to like say way too much like we're all just manipulating inanimate objects, you know what I mean? Like we're
Correct.
not doing shit. Like,
But that's essentially everything. Like,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
in context, like professional, like let's say even at a professional college level cornhole player is most likely like better off than any of us are because they can make an income out of playing
Yeah.
cornhole. So everything is arbitrary. Nothing is real. Truth is
I
relative.
make a living playing with cornholes
Ex-
too.
He didn't diddy me. It's okay.
No diddy. Yeah, it's super interesting how it's shifted that way, but it's like everything moves like a pendulum, you know what I mean? Like when it was this way and that's like America and we all acted one way, when it just shifts the other way and like
And the social
things
dynamics are
change.
different, right? Like, it's you have to be more well-rounded in this generation. For instance, think about like,
Yeah,
okay,
for
I'm
sure.
drawing inspiration from you guys, like Paul Escalar. You guys were like style icons to me. Like, I want like that's why I even wanted to buy a Supreme hat from in middle school.
Dude,
for
people
instance.
used to like rail me about like you should make your own hats, and I'm like, it's not cool.
Yeah.
Like part of the reason that people like me is because I wear Supreme.
Exactly,
Like
but
it makes me look cooler indirectly.
But to that
Like,
point, it's just like you guys had the expansion of I like this thing, and that's what made you,
Yeah.
right? Versus where, for the lack of better words, just so vanilla now out here. So like, because I'd say you watch any video from Polo, Koan, or whatever, like they learned how to use a camera. They
Yeah.
learned how to edit a video. Like dudes are in school. It's just like,
And now Polo's like really bringing on like the mature vibe.
Yeah,
like, his outfits
I
are
so
great.
dig it. Yeah, and
it's
like-
cool to see.
and that's a true aesthetic to him.
Yeah,
you know, like he
exactly.
learned how to operate a camera, learn how to gradient like a video, all that
Yeah.
jazz, and like everything about it makes it really freaking cool. And which
Yeah.
is what's missing from a lot of, you know, in like a lot of players like complain, I guess, about like, oh, it's like all I see is just this guy doing this trick, and I'm just like, well, if every person at this venue just posts their trick every day, like instead of thinking about, oh, I need to post new or this is not good, like you naturally wouldn't see none of that shit anymore. You know,
Right.
you just be seeing your homies on your screen, and I think we're all at fault for like being too egoistic about our shit. Like,
We
Yeah.
were just talking about
Yeah,
that in the
literally
car.
like an hour
Yeah.
ago.
I was
yeah.
like, these young kids don't post. They like worry way too much, and I get it to a certain extent. But
but it's
We're
it's
just
again
yo-yoing,
arbitrary.
like,
It's
who
like
gives a fuck?
think about this math, right? Like you spent
You're good.
like 6 months to perfect the trick. That's a banger and a half, and like you drowned it in one clip that will disappear in one day and nobody cares
Right,
about it
yeah.
anymore. Is that really a benchmark of your hard work? No, bro. Like,
With younger kids, I'm always like, when you go see like a musician, like what do they play? They play the hits. You know?
Yeah,
Like, they'll play the
exactly.
B-sides too. But like, what do they close
Like-
with? The fucking hit,
yeah,
the most popular
exactly.
song.
My
like,
hot take is like spite can be a good emotion. Like you should feel mad that you are better than these dudes, so therefore you should
Yeah,
post.
bro, yeah,
Like,
use that as fuel,
exactly.
yeah.
Like I'm trying to get into that mindset too, especially now like with alternatives. I think like when I separated myself from yo-yoing and like you know operated off like a brand's account instead of my own, that's really what got me shifting the thought, right? Like fuck it. It's like this is just good content in general. It's like I'm not feeling that like yo-yo is to my name anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like it's a thing that I do, no longer like my identity, which is dope. But to that point, like everyone should just post. That's my hot take. Like for real.
That's my hot.
you're
Yeah.
right about the brand thing, though, because I did the same thing. Like once it was like became a little beyond me, where I'm like, I gotta sell these. Yet. Became a lot easier. Just,
Yeah,
like,
right.
I gotta do this. So-
Right, yeah.
So that's true too. That's a good point. If it was
Right.
just my personal account, I might be a little more
Like
critical or something.
one thing I'm learning lately is like the critical understanding of perception versus perspective, right? Like everyone, there's infinite perceptions in this universe because one thing can be looked at in the same blah blah blah. But if there's 5 people here, it's the 5 different truths, right?
Yeah.
How are you to say that another person is wrong? It's not. So that's all. And our heads thinking that we shouldn't post and all that is a perception that we have. But
Yeah.
the actual perspective is, I want to see your clips, bro. Like what the hell? Like,
That's such a good saying, perspective and perception. Just because,
Yeah.
you only have your perspective, and like that's purely what you're viewing it as. But
yeah, and this is
people-
like, dude, I learned this on TikTok wisdom. You can too. Like, hella, what? Like,
talk about alternatives more. That's the contest series you run with your
no,
brand.
alternatives is not my brand. It's like I partner with Hosui Gym. Like, dude's my goat. You know, like, another thing I draw parallels from, like, there's a lot of yo-yo dudes who really go up like in pairs kind of thing, like how you and Miggy, like,
Yeah.
me and Jim were that on that side. Like,
That's awesome.
we've been yo-yoing since day one, met on like the Malaysian forum way back when, and like he was from like on the other side of Malaysia, I'm on here, but like we've been friends since, went through the weeds and all that.
It's
And-
cool to work with people like
Dude,
that.
yeah, and like fast forward to now, I mean, like we went through the journey of going through Diamant Noir together, like, and
I forgot that you were on.
yeah, both
that
of us were, but it was lit, bro. I don't know how to explain to you that, like, given that we were from where we were, like, it's kind of bringing us to like Bali and Singapore and all
Yeah.
that stuff was so lit. Like, we never would have had a chance, you know.
Yeah.
Like, one of the alt trips of my life at that point was like one weekend was Bali International, and then like the next weekend was AP. So we were just like, screw it,
Whole
back
week,
to
yeah.
back, and we were just like Bali, and then it was so great. But
It's so interesting to me too how like it's seemingly easier to get corporate sponsors overseas too. Maybe because they don't
Dude,
have to pay as much.
no,
or,
it's
like-
because there's people out there on the in the yo-yo world that know how to make an actual proposal and like talk about this like business to people who want to give money. Like,
Yeah.
it's all the approach. It really is. Like, Vietnam is doing great because like the guy who runs the 84 yo-yo or like the yo-yo store, he's a professional, you know, like he knows how to approach the government to get grants to healthily build the community and all that, and it's not on some and just make a mid contest. Like, no, they make good shit happen,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why Korea's on the up. It only took
Philippines too,
one person
yeah.
on that and one person on this end, and this shit really made me believe that one person can make that much of a
Yeah,
change. It
it's
genuinely
really-
can.
they can.
Yeah, think about like in your small town, the dude who decided to open a skate shop. That
Yeah.
type of feeling, right?
and what that brings.
And what that
yeah.
brings. In the end, we all just want community. What we realized, like with, let me tie this back to the alternative story first. So one fine day after years, dude, I love, like, Reset changed my life, you know, all that, like, that can't change anything. But then one fine day, Jim texted me. He was like, dude, I got this idea, I got this project, and because we've been doing this for so long together, like, and it's no hate, it's always us against each other, first, second. But like, even though I was national champion twice and he was second twice, he's AP finalist 2 times off prelims and made top 10 in Asia. So like, dude's a
That's
go.
awesome, yeah.
Like, and low-key, I steal all his tricks. So. But yeah, then he came back and we were just talking about the same philosophy, right? Like, we kind of like died down on yo-yoing for a bit because to do adulting shit, like we all kind of went through it. And now that he's like really like at a good place in life, he was just like, I want to do something that makes me feel fulfilled, that gives these generation of yo-yoers literally, like, because we're just like, Koran is talented, Polo is talented, Johnson, but they got nowhere to go. They got no events to go to. Nobody's gonna film them and shit. So then came the meme idea of Stronger. Like, that's what they did. It's just like not a yo-yo contest. It's just an event. It's like, say whatever you want, whatever music you want, just enjoy yourself, like hang out, just go outside, touch grass type thing.
Yeah,
And
there's something like freeing about that makes it remind you like why you started.
then, exactly.
yo-yoing and,
It's like
what you actually enjoy about it versus
guess-
like I'm gonna learn 17 neck tricks to do. once.
I guess a good way to, like, a good word to summarize it is gratitude. Like the gratitude we felt from the experience we had and wanting to deliver it to a next generation of Southeast Asian
yeah.
players. That, because one, we both fucking hated shitty yo-yos. Like, when you know what a good yo-yo feels like, you know.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get access to good yo-yos out in Southeast Asia. And the fact that homie Jim wanted to do this, and he's really goated at the designing and the brain part of things and the manufacturing aspect of things, and he linked up with me to, you know, to do the marketing, to link up the American aspect of things, just like how you guys were talking about Mickey and Yuki, for instance, and the difference in aesthetics. Like, one thing we're trying to do with alternatives is like bridge the East and West, like show the West that over there is lit, because we spent all this time in our lives thinking that this side is lit.
I think that's a huge thing missing from the American scene is the gratitude, and like I think people from Asia or the Eastern world kind of looked at America for so long and like wanted that and desired to have similar
Yeah.
things, so they went and made it happen. You know what I mean? And then in America, it's kind of like swung the other way, where like Americans are really entitled about that kind of
Yeah,
shit.
they
A lot of
wait for
things,
the shit
exactly.
to happen. Like,
Right.
why isn't this shit happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, for the lack of a better word, like a lot of like there's a lot of say and a lot of think words going around, but nobody's actually really doing anything, and that's why
Right.
like. I'm hyped that you started recess. You started like making dunks, and then Scales did its thing. Like these are all like side lanes that never went through a sanction thing because we
Yeah.
just decided like who the fuck like have we been abiding by these arbitrary rules for so damn long? Because why again? Like and then it's like put on a song that says bitch. Do it.
Yeah, and I think Eastern, people are a lot more comfortable working together, or like they realize there's like power in numbers in that way.
It really
and
is
in
that way,
America,
yeah.
like everyone is like, the pie is one full circle, but it's getting chopped up into a million fucking pieces, and it's like nobody is cohesively working together to make anything happen.
Like think about it this way, like Polo, John, and Xavier are from 3 different countries, and somehow they can make it work to link up whenever and however to really grind because their goal is the 3 of us want to make World Finals. It doesn't matter which one of us do, but
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we're at the level where we can like present something that's really, really class.
Yeah, that's how it was with John Rob and I back in the day. It was just like if one of us makes finals, we both do. If someone wins, we both basically
Right.
win. Like it just builds a lot more morale and like again, you remember why you did this shit and what you enjoy about it, and it's not like I don't know. You don't get into yo-yoing like it feels good, but it's
for
not,
joy. It's the
Yeah.
joy. Why did
It's
you
not
buy
like
that?
you-
Think about that first yo-yo you ever got. Like whether it's like when you got serious or not, it meant something. It meant
yeah.
something whether someone showed you a trick. Could be as dumb as like you remember when the baseball Duncan Imperials?
Yeah.
That was my first yo-yo. Got it at Disneyland. She was gas.
And it's like your entire world. You get something and you like study it. You know every inch of it.
Yeah, and
like-
on my Tism mode, it was just like everywhere, and it's like
Yeah.
there was nothing worse at that point in time than like not being able to find string somewhere. Like
or not
could-
be able to yo-yo.
Yeah,
it's like it's
you're
such an
right.
impulsion when you're a kid.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like it's so weird. Just like not a trauma dump moment, but it's an interesting story. I think about it. Like out of all the things that's happened in my life, one of those most scarring things, and like not say scarring, but like emotionally impactful, was the day that like some random dude in school cut my yo-yo strings, and like tried to put it back. So when I threw it, it just like fell apart.
God
Like,
damn.
What a
that was
dickhead.
so mean that like I don't know. Until today, I think about it. It's just like that's so
I'm sorry.
fucking mean,
It
bro.
is. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's funny.
It's like a creative and a lot of work.
I
too,
know.
to, like wind it back up.
I was like, oh,
diabolical.
but to that point, I'm just like, wow, why did this meant so much to me, and like that one Duncan mosquito.
And it kind of makes you appreciate it more when something like that happens
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're like, oh, like
Dude.
someone who like hates on something that brings me so much passion and joy, and then it's like, why don't you have something like this? I would never dare
Yeah.
do something like that to you that you really like.
Dude,
you know what I
and
mean?
we all go through it, man. It's just like full cycle of life where people shit on you. Like, what's that saying? Like, people won't say it's cool to give a fuck about it until it's cool to give a fuck about it, right? And
That's a
yours
great saying,
exactly
too, yeah.
like that. Like, we've been shit on, we've been praised, we've been assholes, da. And I think like I'm really learning that is the journey of yo-yoing. Like,
It's a journey of life, but like
yeah,
it parallels
through
to
yo-yoing.
yo-yo
This is the
a
window
lot.
for us to be less bigoted, less racist, to understand people more. Like when I first went to my first AP, it opened up my entire world. I was like 15 years old from Malaysia. Like worked at a bookstore wrapping books just so I could make enough money to get the bus ticket to go to Singapore. Didn't even fucking tell my parents. Like, so I'm gonna sleep over at my friend's house. Literally took a 5-hour bus to Singapore at 50.
That's sick, man.
Like type thing. And then when I met Dimi, he started driving us. Like, it was dope. But that really opened my world. Like meeting Japanese players. Like, this is when I learned about nonverbal communication. Like, nobody in AP like spoke the same language. Nobody. Like, the outliers are the ones who can speak English.
Yeah.
So like you get that one Japanese dude that can help translate for all the other dudes kind of thing, but you're still trick jamming. Like
Yeah.
you're still vibing, like doing the trick circle thing. But nobody's speaking the same language, but the vibes are real.
Yeah.
How? You know?
It's almost stronger when that happens. 'Cause
exactly.
Everyone has to, like you said, the nonverbal communication. You really have to like hone in and like
Dude,
lock
it's
in
weird.
with
It's
someone
like-
versus just like you're casually talking like, yeah, all right, I'll see you later.
Yeah, exactly. Like a random memory was like that AP as well. I met Daiki for the first time, I think. He was a youngin.
Like, he must have been young as
Yeah, he was a
hell.
youngin. He couldn't speak like he could barely speak English. I couldn't speak Japanese for shit. But like we were on that, bro. I will learn Japanese and go to your country, and then he's like, I'll like learn English more. So we, because
Yeah.
that drove the desire for us to learn more about like pop culture, music, like most of the first few albums I listened to was from like, yo-yo videos that I was just
Yeah.
like, there was no Shazam at that time.
Jake and I talk about that a lot. Just like when you first go to Worlds, like those first couple times as a kid, and you like are exposed to all that culture for the first time. It's like,
It's
damn, like what are these
mind-blowing.
guys wearing, and like what kind of music
Dude,
is
yeah,
this?
the
And-
music, everything. Like I always talk
It's
about
like-
Antio and meeting Kia and like I would have never gone to the West
Dude.
Coast.
Yeah, we're
and,
Like,
very
I've
blessed
tripped on
as
acid
yo-yoers.
many
All
times,
that
but
shit.
that dopamine rush of that first oh my
So cool.
god.
Yeah.
Still chasing it till today.
Dude, that's a great point though. Yeah, and I totally feel
Because
that.
it's so raw, like entire dopamine rush in your fucking veins, just like this is pure joy.
yeah.
Yeah, and I am trying to, figure out what that's like in an adulthood life.
Yeah, the older you get, it's difficult to like feel those feelings again. Like it is really like a drug, like you said. And
It's a drug.
it's different when you're a kid and you haven't been exposed to those things as much, and then
But
and that's also why yo-yoers have so many problems just like communicating and socializing on like a normal humanistic level, because like shit is kind of boring compared to that,
bro,
you know what
okay,
I mean?
to that point, right? Like Southeast Asian homies, like my experience, like growing up here and going to Singapore back and forth, being with Daryl, Iskandar, and all that. Like a lot of my memories yo-yoing is literally just like a bed from 7-Eleven, whichever, like some random park bench, just like chatting and smoking stokes till the sun comes up. Like sometimes
Sounds
a yo-yo,
beautiful.
but yeah, it's just like it sounds weird like that, but like every AP this happens, like because Singapore is pretty like it's safe out there. You can hang out in front of 7-Eleven all night and it's chill. It's like most people are staying in the same B&B, but when when AP's done and everyone's just vibing, like drinking off 7-Eleven kind of thing, that's like the best vibe
Man.
you'll ever fucking experience. And I think I'm missing out because I've always wanted to experience Rosen Worlds, because I've heard legends that the parking lot is like this kind of experience, like it's just people gathering around doing the dumbest shit and having the greatest fucking time
Yeah.
for no other reason than doing that. Like, that's gas.
Yeah.
I'm trying
mean-
to smoke cigarettes in Asia, bro. God damn.
What?
I'm trying to smoke cigarettes in Asia with you guys.
Yeah, and then that's why I love Prague so much, because it was the same. I met Polish homies, Czech. They hate the same things. They want to smoke the same stokes. We exchange stokes. Like my pack had the cancer pack on it. Theirs didn't.
Bro, some of the funniest memories I ever have are like giving dabs to foreigners, which is like borderline illegal. I feel like they want to do it. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm fucking roofing them or anything, but it's just so funny how unaware. It's like you gotta really brace them for it and be like, bro, you gotta be
Yeah.
careful. Like,
This is another good another good side topic to this, where it's like the yo-yo community is really a healthy space to have your first experiences in, because there's always going to be someone to look out for you.
yeah,
Like
always.
as long as
Everyone
you're not
cares
a
a lot
stupid
about each
shithead,
other,
like
yeah.
it's a very safe space to have. To
That's literally the only outcasting situation in yo-yo is when you're a stupid shithead. Like every
Yeah.
contest, there might be one person, and like they get alienated somewhat. But even that, it's probably just for that contest. It's not like next time we're gonna
and
be
it's
like,
I
oh,
mean,
you're
if you're an
still a
asshole, that's
fucking
on you.
asshole.
But I learned one really good important lesson from my homie Joseph from Prague. He just randomly was like with me and Bergie and just dropped this line: "There's so many bitches in this world. Just don't be one." I was like, holy, whoa.
Joseph is
It's
some
like,
European
just
man
don't
shit.
be one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, facts.
Joseph is a super tall guy, right?
No,
Yeah. He's taller than us, right?
he's tall, buff.
He's stout.
That's
He
a
went to
homie.
Japan.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one year,
yeah,
or- yeah, Japan. Or was it Iceland?
Iceland, I think it's in Japan. Like he was
Okay.
with Bergie. Like I remember because Prague was my first Worlds, and then Japan was the year after that. That was where I met this guy for the first time, Kai and Bergie. Like they were my first two real life American friends. Went from online to real life. It
My
was
first
nuts.
online American.
Yeah,
friend. Bergie as your first real American
Yeah,
friend.
that's
in real life
nutty,
is
right? We're
crazy.
bonded for life now.
Yeah.
That's
Like
awesome.
it started from there. It really did, because like there was yo-yo camp after Worlds, which honestly, if anyone has the time to do it, I'd highly recommend it, because like that was some of the strongest bonds I've ever made with anyone, like in this lifetime. And happens to be Kai and Bergie were there.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like
This was after European World. right?
the first Prague Worlds, so right after
2014
Yeah,
Worlds.
2014, right after like Slusny. And there was another yo-yo star at that point in time that Korda and Andra ran.
Yeah.
Like they partnered up and like booked this whole cabin lodge up in the mountains like of like Czech Republic that was
God
just
damn,
like
that sounds awesome.
ungodly
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
sick, dude.
Like I saw it was in okay, tying this like my first world experience, right? Won my national championship, got my chance to go to Worlds, got the semi-final seed, just got on like Yo-Yo Factory Malaysia, whatever the fuck that meant at that point in time. Like it was lit, and I was so stressed out that like let's say semi-finals day came and like my slot was right after Takeshi. Like, wrecked, bro. I got wrecked. I got last place at semifinals. I
Holy
choked.
shit.
I got fucked up. But
You said your semi was right after his?
yeah,
Fuck.
I got wrecked. Not even that. I was just underprepared. Like me, my little Malaysian ass really just did not know what a stage like that felt like, you know, honestly. But the experience of being in Prague, the homies I made. Thank you. Yeah, all the homies I made, all the memories, the conversations, like that is what locked me in to want to yo-yo forever.
Yeah.
And honestly, until today, it's like it did not matter that I got last place. Like I did not care at all because I'll think about Prague to the highest
Yeah, the
degree.
experiences outweigh.
It's just like the dumbest bullshit of like some random Czech dude pulling out a bong from his backpack, and you're like, "Is there anything else?" And this is literally just that, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And like the homies just get down out there, and I love it. Like meeting the Polish homies, and I had no friends. I never met any international yo-yoers, and like this group of Polish dudes were like, "Oh, we'll adopt you. You'll be our friend. Just go with us wherever the fuck we
Dude,
go."
Europe is super fun.
Dude,
Like,
shout out Polish homies, man. You guys are real ones.
oh my god! When I went to Poland, it was crazy. We stayed in Warsaw, and like, it was some tiny apartment, and they were playing like a roulette game, but like with shots. And it was like you had to do a shot no matter where it landed, but like if it was red, it was one type of liquor, and then black was another liquor. Everyone got blackout drunk, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go to bed. Like
They really get the concept of lose, make the best out of it.
Yeah,
I dig that.
and then like there must have been like 10 or 11 people staying in a room that was like the size of your room in Rochester, kind of thing. It was like insane. That was like one of their apartments.
Yeah.
And I like woke up and some guy is just like DJing. Like it's like staying over at Kai's house where he's projecting shit on the walls and DJing. And then they're like trying to get me to like snort drugs with them. And I'm like, oh, is it like just cocaine? And they're like, no, it's like
Crocodile.
like a research chemical. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Awesome.
I think I'm good, man. Like,
Polish research chemicals.
yeah, it was insane. Do you want to practice?
It's probably like
I think
ketamine.
so.
All right.
This is where my stories end for now.
Dude,
That was awesome.
killer. Yeah, thank you so
Inspiring,
much.
bro. I love it.